Hey, it's probably my last video for a while, but I just wanted to go over this right quick, and I want to just direct people who will get these dumbass misconceptions that I probably went over last video with, kind of on tangent there. So bear with me. I'm going to call this moral implications for nihilism. Now, morality is something strictly subjective. It doesn't objectively exist, like, I don't know, my skin or this wall behind me. Right? Okay, I accept that. But do I still follow one? Yes, it's strictly internal. It's my own. And as what some people like to say, Nietzsche and some other writers said, but mostly like to cite Nietzsche. He had said things like, be what you are. Now, what am I? Well, I seem to be on average a pretty average dude. Predisposed to things like empathy, sympathy, feel for others, and things like that, and have hopes that others will feel for others, and including myself, and things like that, whatever. Alright. Now, where does this nihilism thing come into play? Well, I accept that there is no intrinsic value to life. There is no objective purpose or point. For me, this is apparently true as evolution. It's as apparently true as gravity. Honestly, I mean, there's nothing for the contrary. Even people's things that they say are the purpose of life are always strictly subjective. And anything that one could claim was the purpose of life, such as, I don't know, and I've said this before, but the thing with the God, even a purpose bestowed by him, her, it, would still be completely subjective because it's dependent of that consciousness, dependent of that mind. But yeah, now accepting that things like values don't exist, morality doesn't exist, especially not, we say it doesn't exist, to include doesn't exist, because when we say exist, we mean like in an objective sense, like I mean, nothing is truly for certain, but I know this wall back here objectively is there, right? Cool. Alright, that's that. Now, when you accept that, and you accept things like this, well, people will automatically say that, well, then you must not have any morals, or you must not adhere or do anything. No. As I had stated before, I'm pretty, I guess, like on average, predisposed to certain altruistic nature. Well, so I guess we're going to just conclude instead of using all these other words. I'm a nice guy, I guess. Some people say I'm a dick, but I think, personally, maybe, I don't know, someone can correct me, I think I'm a nice guy. Right? Cool. So since I'm a nice guy, I'm going to be predisposed, it seems like from genetic material, I'm predisposed to doing nice things. I have empathy. I have a strong sense of being able to show sympathy sometimes, it seems. And all other things that people would classify as like nice things, I guess, or whatever, without going into too much detail. Now, accepting the nihilism thing, being a nihilist, where does any exercising these things come into play? Well, when being a nihilist, you work with the is. The fact is, each morality only exists subjectively. It's dependent of minds. It's not really truly there, but it's there. Right? Cool. Now, when you accept that, you can still follow one. It can be your own, based on your own preferences that are mostly prevalently there because of how you were raised and your certain genetic predispositions, like empathy and different things like that. So you might end up doing things like showing mercy and compassion and things like that, because it's something that we've evolved to do. We've seen that these things, they're effective. So it's a trait that was kept. It's truly is just that simple. You can accept morality doesn't exist, still follow your own, and be what you are. More than likely, most now as I know, they're not sociopaths, they're not psychopaths, they're not people with serial killer syndrome. I don't exactly know how we cite, pedophiles, but they're not pedophiles. At least from what I know, they're not pedophiles, and I'm none of these things. So what we are is the same person. We're just not the humanist, not the Christian, but we still follow it in our own moral code. But even accepting that we're basically indulging in a fantasy, accepting that it's all for naught at the end of the day. Now this comes for the moral implications. For this, I would say that we are superior, because even accepting that the values in these things, they don't truly exist, are all based in mostly preference. Even while accepting this, still acting what one would call morally. I would say it's the freest and moral. We say morally. I guess I'm speaking strictly subjectively here. That morally superior. I mean, when we truly look at it, truly just look at it for what it is, down to the grit. The guy who thinks that God tells him he should do this, or the guy who accepts that, well, he doesn't believe there is a God, because there's no reason to and no evidence, right? But he still acts and does the same thing as a guy who's like, there's value to life because God gave it, or just because there is, or because he thinks there is, and things like that. But the guy accepts that there's not, and that's all strictly subjective, which basically means it kind of like, when we say objectively, doesn't exist, but still acts the same way, realizing that at the end of the day, it's all for naught. I would call him, for this as a philosophy, it's the freest, and I would say the moral superior. He has no reason, no logical justification for any moral act that he does. But as for the God command or the humanists, they have these certain things where they say value exists, when I mean it doesn't. But for them, it's just embedded in them. They think value exists, and there's this certain thing of punishment and things, especially for those adhering to the God command theory for morality. All of them have this certain things that gives them this weird obligation that they would just be guilt tripped if they had not acted morally. Okay, this person, they say they're got this guilt tripped into this. Now, this person may also experience guilt, but then could probably shake it off to say it's just an emotion. It doesn't really matter whether I act or not act. Save their life, don't save their life, because they're gonna die anyway. But instead, he acts and attempts, or does, or dies trying to save a life. Knowing it's all for naught, knowing if he screws up, right, he's just gonna go black. That's just it for them. I would call this person the moral superior, honestly, rather than the person who'd be somewhat of guilt tripped into acting morally, whatever you would call acting morally. Anyway, so yeah, there's the moral implications for nihilism, and why I think that if there is anyone we could put on a scale of morality, who's the superior, I would say the nihilist is at the top. No reason to act morally, but sometimes it seems for some reason he or she does, realizing it's all for naught.